Well,
right?
great to see you, Anna. So tell me a little bit about you. Who are you? What are you doing? And who do you work for? Or who do you own?
Yeah, so I'm Cecilia Flores. I am the co-founder and COO at Weeby. We are a tech company, an IoT and AI company. We created a software as a service company. Is actually a tool set for IoT and AI deployments to be able to deploy complex solutions with no code. So we're focusing in the food industry, essentially agriculture and food manufacturing, to help reduce some of the impact of food loss due to inefficiencies in production. I don't know if you know that 1/3 of the food produced in the world every year goes to waste, and 40% of that amount is due to inefficiencies in production. So
Yeah,
we're making technology simple so that producers can use technology to help avoid those losses. So that's kind of essentially
beautiful.
it.
I love it. I love it. So here's my first question for you. Where in your life have you allowed fear to limit your opportunities?
So I guess that every time there's something new approaching, a new stage of the company, a new maybe size of client or a new challenge, whatever it is, the first reaction is fear. And the fear translates into a lot of the time anxiety or not knowing what to do, or maybe thinking that we are not able, or myself, I'm not able to do it, I would say. And then, of course, there's the entrepreneurial journey. That's how you learn how to do things. But the first reaction is fear. It's like, this is not for me, and I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to make it. So I think it's been a constant throughout my career. And now, as a founder and as a leader in my company, I see it when something, now we are fundraising, for example. No, the whole fundraising situation really scares me at the beginning, because it's the first time we're going into this funding run. So, and fear is okay. It should be okay. It's part of the process, but we just leave it with much more demand, right? It translates into being very demanding with myself. I have to be better. I have to do better, just to overcome that fear, I think. Yeah.
So, second question for you is, what is the greatest contributor to your success?
Today,
The greatest
uh,
contributor to your success.
so the greatest contributor to my success is myself, I gotta say, in a sense that I always, whenever in doubt, whenever there's something getting in the way, I'll always remember where I came from and all I accomplished. And I think at the end of the day, having that attitude of it can be done no matter what, and proving with myself that I can do it, I think is the greatest contributor, because it helps reduce the anxiety and the fear that comes with the unknown or with the leadership position. And mostly when, in environments like mine, which is a very male dominant environment, right, where they're not used to see women leading, it can be very overwhelming, in a sense that, the first reaction is that I can't do it, or I don't have what it takes, right? So I think that going back to myself has always been the answer. And it sounds easy, but it's not, because sometimes it's just, uh, like I said, doing something new or talking to someone that is in a way higher position than I am, or, and still you have to show up, right? You have to get the best of yourself. And I think it's always been myself. The trick is that I didn't know that before. So I thought it came with external approval, right?
Yeah.
So that's something you learn along the way. And thankfully today, after many years of experience, I can relate to my previous experience to gain the confidence. But that's not the case for every woman. Mostly if you are just starting, you don't have a lot of track record. So it's hard to gain confidence in that sense. But I think it's important.
Yeah, that's great. And if you could wave a magic wand, what would have to happen in the workplace for you to feel like you're leaving a lasting legacy?
So we should have really proven to reduce the impact of food loss in a broader sense, like meet our mission, which is using technology for good and using technology for something that is larger than technology itself. A lot of the times I see technology companies being founded just for the sake of developing what's innovative and not with the real purpose of helping the world move forward, right? There's so many challenges around the world that could be fixed with technology, and it's just a matter of choosing to do so, right? So seeing an impact in the communities that we work with in that end, that would be a great legacy for me. And also see other females around the world, mostly in the country that I am from, the city that I was born, really taken the lead of their lives and aiming for more and try to, push the boundaries, for me would be, yeah, a legacy. If I see that my experience and everything that for me has been a challenge can inspire someone, I would feel very satisfied.
Beautiful. So looking down the road, 3 years from now, what do you envision for yourself and for your company?
So we envision a lot of work for our company. So yeah, so getting there, continue to make progress for organizations to adopt technology in a faster pace, and also being, making sure that we have the infrastructure to really reach remote lands and, markets and geographies with less adoption of technology, really being able to reach smaller farmers also and expand the footprint globally, but to help the global community around the food industry and improve the food system through our technology. That would be, from a company standpoint, in a personal standpoint, leading the way to make that happen. Yeah, and making sure we balance between venture funding and our mission, which is something hard, right? Just to balance,
Yeah.
hitting your financial and business goals, and then at the same time being consistent with your mission. It's not easy. So I think that's my role there, my mission.
Great. And my last question is, what is your fearless factor in one or more words?
Being a woman, I think that, and it's tricky because I grew up in a business environment, first on the enterprise, and then I transitioned to entrepreneurship, and I always felt like I needed to fill a man's shoes, in a sense that, in order to be heard or in order to be respected, you need to behave much more like the stereotype of a male founder of a tech company or a top executive in a global enterprise in tech. And then as I grew in my role, I started finding that there's a lot of beauty in being a woman, in a sense that what we bring to the table is unique and it really complements others. So I think understanding that, really understanding the value that I bring to the table, helped me see myself differently. And now I can see myself, 10 years later, really being fearless in that sense. I'm going to protect equality. I'm going to fight towards equality as much as I can because I see the value and I've proven it myself. When I started, understanding that there's nothing wrong in being me, right? There's a lot of things right more than wrong. It changed the way I saw myself, and I led my business, and I led, everything that is around me. So I think being a woman is where I feel confident today, which I'm glad to be able to say this, right? Because it wasn't the same thing a couple of years ago, right? But I do feel that's the place where, we have to continue that way, right? Kind of show the strength that we bring as women, and help all of the women understand that it's not a matter of being more, fitting a stereotype. It's a matter of finding the power in who we already are as women and what we bring to the table.
So I hear you say that I'm taking ownership of me, of my strengths, of everything I have to contribute to the world.
Exactly.
So ownership would be a good word for you.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's something else around what you just said, which is in terms of gender equality, we always tend to put like not the blame, but the responsibility in someone else, like someone is biased towards me. And in my case, I think that the biggest weakness that I had in the past was not being able to identify when I was a victim of an unconscious bias myself. I was being victim of a bias, because that's something that we can change right away, because the power is on us, right? We don't have to wait for anything to change to be able to see ourselves as, the change makers in our lives and in our roles. And that's the scary part, when we cannot see that we are being victims of unconscious bias in the decisions we make. And every time I hear a woman like, oh, I'm having kids and I'm not going to work, I will see if I go back one day when they go to college. It's like, wait, why? There's other ways. It's like, there's a million other ways that you could do it. So, and I think that bias are getting in the way there, and stereotypes, and we don't even know that's happening. That's the scary part.
I think it's a cultural thing, and a lot of the time, and so one has to push back against the cultural stereotypes. And I think that's what I'm seeing now, is that more and more women are prepared to, take the permission to say and do whatever it is that they feel is important to them, and really push against the, the stereotypes and the biases that are out there. But you can't do that unless you're willing to have a voice in the conversation. It's not a
Yeah,
passive thing.
and it's not easy also because there's a lot of friction when you raise your voice in that sense, right? When you say, well, I don't want this, right? Or I want to share the care of our kids, right? Because I want to go back to work. I don't want to stay at home. So there's friction in the family because there's a certain expectation that something you would do as a woman. So I think a lot of women maybe don't want to create that kind of, like I always say, when you raise your hand, you have to be prepared for the conversation because most of the time it's not easy.
Do you think that that's just as common with younger women? I mean, I'm clearly of an older generation, and certainly I grew up with all of my own stereotypes about what was expected of me. But the younger generation don't have it quite so badly because, as a mother of millennial children, for instance, I gave them a lot of freedom to go find out what they needed to find out in the world. And the result, they're very successful adults, but I think that's a piece right there, that there is a generational division too, in terms of how women are stepping up or not stepping up. But I still think there's that piece of self-doubt, that piece where, we're not giving ourselves permission to really deliver who we are, and that's the ownership piece that I mentioned earlier.
Yes. My question is only how far can we go? Like there's an obvious progress in younger generations. I'm not sure that there's this leadership desire in younger generations. So we go for what we want. We can choose the type of life we want to live. I just don't know if we are equally standing in the same position to dream the same way as men yet. Like if we want to change the world, I think women, we dream a little bit less, like in a more conservative way. That our ambitions are like within our range of comfort and not like, really want to.
I'm going to push back on that and say that as long as we don't presume that we can stand at the same level as men, then we will never stand at the same level as men. But when we're willing to challenge the men or the male gender in this case, to say, we're searching for equality, but that equality is still, way off in terms of pay, in terms of how we see ourselves in the world and so forth. So I think the piece about that I would say is women have to push themselves up, and they have to be willing to take the risk that they will get pushed back, that they will get pushed out of the way, that they will suffer from, men or the male gender saying, you're not entitled to be here. Whereas a woman can take the attitude, I absolutely am entitled to be here. And I am, in fact, might even be better than you. So, we can take that point of view. But the point being is that gender parity is a really important issue if we as women are to truly achieve the equality that we want, and you got to push against it. It's, they talk about the glass ceiling. I believe the glass ceiling exists in your head, not out there. It's right here. And when you can move that, then you can move the world. And that's what you're saying. I can actually rule the world if I want to, I want to.
Exactly.
There.
And then I think we still need to be compassionate about us and as women, because there's a lot of things in the middle. There's maternity also that needs to be combined, and with all these challenges that we get as female leaders. So I hear that what I hear is also, the lack of compassion, in general, right?
It's not easy. What I would say is, I know it's not easy, but just because it's not easy doesn't mean it can't be done.
Right.
You should know that because you're a startup person and you've taken a tremendous amount of risks in your life. And so I think that really says a lot about who you are, which I think is phenomenal, and why you are in my category of fearless women leading the way. So, just keep doing what you're doing.